Hi there, I want to take a quick look at touching up a face to remove imperfections and blemishes. I've opened this folder from the shared folder. I'm going to create a new layer by hitting the plus button, and I'm going to call it Touch Up. Touch Up. This allows me to work non-destructively. I'm going to be using the spot healing brush, looks like a plaster, and I'm going to make sure I've got sample all layers turned on and it's set to content aware. Then pretty much we're just clicking over any of the blemishes we want to remove. The brush samples from around the edges of the circle, and you can get in and remove fairly well some of these things. What you will notice if you zoom in, working at a large scale, we end up with visible artifacts caused by the process. There are some solutions around this, one of which is we can use the clone stamp brush, which is, where's it gone? Is it under one of these? Oh, it's there. Sound of Intelligence, clone stamp brush. This allows us to sample from one area and clone to another area. To select the area we're going to clone from, we hold down the Alt key and you'll see the brush turn into a little target. And then I left click and then release Alt, and then I'm painting where you can see the little plus is where it's sampling from. This again works reasonably well, but it's important to keep checking where you're sampling from, so you're sampling from a nearby area and not somewhere completely different. Let's just Alt and click and just brush in, then Alt and then click. You need to keep your finger on the Alt button or by the Alt button, so you can sample areas without getting too many artifacts. But even so, if we zoom back, we can see where we've made like streaky marks down here. So it's important to zoom in, zoom out. I'm using Control and the plus and minus buttons to zoom in and zoom out here, so we can keep checking our work and checking you're not making, oops, Alt, check you're not making it much worse. The reason we're working on a separate layer, and if I hide the background layer, you can see the areas I've done. If we make any howling mistakes, we can always undo it and remove problem areas fairly easily. So that's the clone stamp tool, using Alt to select and then left click to paint. What else do we have on here? Let's just do another bit. Alt click, Alt click. Now it's important to remember when you're using a tool like this, you can quite easily offend the person you're working on, so best not to do it with anybody you know. Don't say you weren't warned. What other tools do we have here? We have also got, looking for it, here we've got the patch tool. This is underneath the spot healing brush. To get to these, any of these brushes which have a little triangle, if you right click, then we can select. Now the patch tool lets us, well, let's see if we can do it. Let's left click and draw a selection around her nose piercing. Oh, could not use the patch tool because the selected area is empty. This is because yeah, there's nothing on this layer. It doesn't appear to have select all layers like the other tools have. So let's just click on the background layer, unlock it, and now it will let us do this. Let me undo that So I've drawn around and made my selection. In fact, I'll make my selection again, but we're on the background layer. So I'm going to draw around it vaguely, then left click in the middle of it and drag till I'm over a different area, and then when I release, it does a really nice job of removing the nose piercing, which you might not want to remove. It's up to you. Let's try that again. Let's just go over this patchy area of skin here, and then left click and drag down to a clearer area and release. Control D to deselect. Doesn't do a bad job. Right, what else do we have in here which we can look at? Now let's merge these two layers together. So I'll right click, merge layers. This means I've gone out of the realm of non-destructive, but I just want to have a look at well, there's the blur tool, which, as the name implies, blurs parts of the image. Where's blur tool gone? Dodge tool, blur tool. This will let you kind of soften in areas. Obviously the strength's on 100% here to really kind of show you what it's doing. But let's just back it off again and step back to before I did it, and you can turn the strength down here, and you can kind of smooth out skin a little bit, which to an extent stops you looking like a real person and ends up looking more like a person from a magazine cover. Again, when you're using this, it's best if you don't do the eyes. If you blur the eyes out, it looks really false. But if you're just being a little bit subtle, and I'm trying to leave the eyebrows as well, because it'll look obviously blurred if we do those too much. There we go. And so that's looking kind of smoothed out. Other tricks and tools on here. Blur, sharpen. I'm looking for dodge and burn, which are here. We've got dodge here will lighten an area, burn will darken an area. In olden times, you used to use a cigarette lighter on photographs to actually literally burn them to darken them down. And sponge desaturates, which is kind of removing colour. So if we go in with dodge first, let's make my brush a bit bigger. We've got a 50% exposure and we're looking at the mid-tones. We can just kind of bring in a little bit of light. So it's lightening this side of the face up a little bit. It's like a hint towards relighting. Let's burn the other side. Let's try and give you an example. That's really a overkill there. Let's step back a bit. Let's try and make this side of the face a little darker. I'm going to turn my exposure right down because it was too heavy. That's working a bit better. So it's just darkening it out a little. With any of these tools, I'm a great believer in turn everything up to 100 so you can understand what the effect is doing, then dial it back to something sensible. Right, let's try dodge, which again was kind of lightening, and we can increase the amount of light on one side of her face and just make it shine a bit. And the sponge tool, which desaturates, we could remove some of the colour from her lips. Yeah, that looks like she's got hypothermia. I think we're good with that. Let me just pause the video one moment, if I can find pause. Okay. I think we're going again. Right, red eye removal. This was a lot more common on old camera flashes. I don't think phone cameras do it as much, and so, some of the flash units for proper cameras would do like a little bit of strobe effect to make your pupils dilate, so you didn't get this red eye effect. Let's just click to unlock it, and we're looking for the red eye tool, which is down underneath the spot healing brush. Down here, red eye tool. Now this is really complicated to use in that you click on the red eye and it just removes the red automatically. Click, click. For the purposes of writing this up, just do one eye and you can leave one red. Then you got a before and an after. Let's step back again. So that's me before, and left click, that's me after, which is a nice effect. Okay, next one is removing an object using generative fill. So let's remove this guy. So I'm just going to use the quick selection tool and just try and select all this guy. I've overshot, so I'm just going to go on to the quick selection tool and using Alt to subtract from the selection. We don't need to be massively accurate for this, and that's probably got it. So we go edit, generative fill. Now college hasn't paid for this part of it, but if you've got Photoshop at home, this is brilliant. So you just hit generate, and it uses AI and Firefly to look at the rest of the image and hopefully remove the soldier. Oh, missed a bit. But it's actually given us 3 options here. It's given us person removed, whatever that one is, and whatever that one is. That's possibly the best one. I'm gonna have another go. I don't think we'd got it all selected. Let's just try it again with we got a gap in the middle of him. Ooh. His hand, got his gun. Oops, Alt. That's definitely got him all. Let's just expand the selection. Select, modify, expand, 20 pixels. Just makes it a little bit bigger than the selection. Edit, content aware fill. Oh, I didn't want content, that's next. Cancel. Edit, generative fill. If you don't put anything in, it does it automatically. But you could put in like a robot or something and replace him with a robot. It's added a person all of its own validation. That's peculiar. Number 3, that's the one we want. It's given it as a separate layer, and then we can merge these layers. We've still got a bit of a weird bit going on there, but I think we could use the spot healing brush maybe, and just go in and manually tweak it. Sort of doing it. Oh, cancel that. It's not a reasonable job. Let's step back. Let's open up the history window. There we go. The other technique for removing him, if we go to quick selection, now this works without the AI. Let's just hastily get most of it in the selection. Oh, got the top of his hat, got his gun. Okay, edit, content aware fill. This opens up another window. Let me just what we have here is the selection and the result. Now at the moment it's using all these green areas to sample information to replace the person with, and you see it's got a lot of leaves in here. I'm just trying to move this across. That's better, so we can see both screens at the same time. If I start drawing on the left hand picture, can you see it's removing this green area? This is telling it, don't use these bits of the image. Look. And it's doing a little bit better. Maybe I do want to use some of the trunk, so I can do a bit more of the trunk. That's helping. You can see the AI did a much better job, a lot quicker. But this has still got its uses, and with a bit of practice and a bit of experimentation. See, I think some of this dark isn't helping the situation. That's sort of okay. We've still got some foot down here. You see it updates every time you adjust it. But if we say, yeah, well, we can live with that for the time being, I'm not happy. Let's got that gun in there, and we've got, yeah, let's say we're okay with that. We click apply. We've got output to new layer or output to current layer. Let's do it to current layer. That just sticks it all together. And click OK. And now we've got our adjustments made here. And again, there's problems because the shading's wrong, and you've still got quite an edge here. But we could go in with the spot healing brush and spend a bit of time fixing some of these issues. So here's a real mess. What happens if we go in with the spot healing? Not really doing it, so that's a clone stamp job. So let's clone from here and honestly, you could spend a long time doing this, but you get the picture. This is one of the cases where, in many ways, AI, for all its flaws, is being a real time saver. You know, realistically, it'd be better going back and potentially just cutting this guy out on his own and sticking him on a new background at this stage. But we shall stop there because we've rambled on too long. Thank you for watching.